Welcome to the Bachelor Universe podcast, episode 6 this time around. I'm Jim Alexander, joined this week by my co-host Jeff York, as always, and a special guest, Paige Carpenter. I mean, that is the highlight of this season so far. It took us 5 episodes to get to this point, but we're here and we're ready to go with it. Bachelor talk, you know. Jeff, how's it going?
Well, it's going really good, Jim, and it's going to be very exciting tonight because my wife, Paige Carpenter, is the supreme Bachelor and Bachelorette franchise fan. She knows everything. She remembers everything. She can tell you everything about all these people. I couldn't watch the show without her. I probably wouldn't watch the show without her, but you know.
Liar.
You'd watch it now because we only talk about this.
No, Jim, he's the one that got me into it. I'm not joking. He dragged me out of bed to watch Jake, what's his face?
Jake Pavelka.
Mm-hmm.
Not even kidding. So it's his fault. Don't listen to a word he says.
Oh, boy.
All right.
I believe you, that's for sure.
Okay.
Well, so this week, The Bachelor is in Paris, France. They finally managed to take some loans out to get a budget, get out of the States, and we get a trip to the place of love. As Chris Harrison introduces us to all, he needs to remind Ari right away that we're in a city of love, and, you know, Ari gets the memo. So that was a start, right?
And, well, of course, technically it's the city of lights, but I guess we're for the purposes of The Bachelor, it's the city of love. But, yeah, just to ground us in the fact that we're in a very expensive location and, you know, actually to show that Chris is kind of earning his paycheck by talking to Ari before the actual cocktail party and the final rose kind of stuff. So nice to see Chris actually made the plane ride over.
Well, I mean, he had to at some point because he wasn't allowed in the house anymore. So up in California. So yeah, and plus he had to make that big announcement. The big announcement was that, you know, the multitude of dates. You had 2 one-on-ones, then you had a group date and a 2-on-1 date. I mean, I can't even do the math on all this because there's just too many dates going around in the first episode. But the lucky one to get a 1-on-1 was Lauren B., one of the 2,000 Laurens that's apparently down to 1 now. And they might as well take in those 2,000 because this chick didn't even say a word.
Oh, my God. Yes.
She was so
I'm
dull.
glad you said it because, geez, Louise, that woman, wow.
She did. Wait, Paige, she did say wow a lot. So you got
she did? Oh, God, you're right. She did. Okay, yeah, she's got that down.
Wow.
But we were wondering if she was either jet-lagged or maybe the poster child for this boring season, but she didn't have much to offer. And she keeps looking sleepy to me, like she's just not catching any Z's during the rose ceremony. She always seems to be sleepy, although she did say a lot at the end, but we'll get to that later.
But if I may interject here, you got to hand it to Ari because he was struggling to keep that conversation afloat. I mean, he seriously tried. And she just would not pick up the ball. It was painful. It was so cringeworthy.
Well, this reminds me of one of my many dates too. So I've been territory. The only difference is that I never tried to play tour guide in France in another country, as Ari apparently did. He's the American tour guide in France, going around showing locations as if like he had a itinerary or something with him, that he knew where everything's at, which is unreal to me. It was just so. I can't even describe it. It seems so bogus for him to just like act like he's a know-it-all and he knows everything about Paris and he will show you everything. And this girl couldn't even react to him, allegedly because she was nervous and sheltered.
Well, and I'm sure they briefed him before each scene so that he could explain this to the audience watching the show, where they were and what was, he was I'm sure that they slipped him a little extra cash to be the tour guide for the, ABC did.
I wonder if they slipped him a little extra briefing too on who these girls are, because none of us know who they are. I mean, we barely got to know Lauren through any of this, and now suddenly exactly. But we're halfway through the season now. She gets a date, and she hasn't had any discernible personality until then, and even the other one-on-one later. They finally get around to talking to. Jacqueline, and she's seems nice and pretty and interesting in a number of ways, but she's barely registered up until this episode. So
I disagree.
Okay, you liked her.
I really like her.
Well, I do too, but I mean, she didn't really say much up until this one.
I know that she hasn't gotten a lot of airtime. She's not she's not crazy or, emotionally unstable or, reactive and volatile like some. But
not willing to kiss at a moment's notice, like my girl Becca, who have tongue will travel. Oh
God.
Yes. Well, at least verdict is at least he didn't have to slip any condoms for Ari because he wasn't getting anywhere with her. She's got walls. I mean, the thickness of the Great Wall of China.
She's got trouble with trust issues. She was surprise. Another trust issue from a Bachelor contestant.
But she got a rose because Ari's got hope. That's why.
I believe that was a pity rose.
Yes.
It was kind of like
a couple pity roses.
That pitiful dog at the shelter. You just, oh God, okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. That's not nice.
So there's that much for Lauren. She's not very much of a topic of discussion. So what way to spice up the group date but take him to Moulin Rouge? Now, first of all, I just thought that was a movie with like Nicole Kidman or something. I didn't know that was an actual thing. So there's my lesson for today.
Well, indeed, it is a real place. It's a nightclub. It's been there for a long time, and they do big shows, and it was made famous, probably guaranteed another 25 years of tourists based on that Baz Luhrmann movie that was so popular with her. So they do the little Folie Bergère kind of show there and all that stuff.
Okay, you were saying, Jim.
Yeah, no. So this Moulin Rouge thing, so it's kind of like just a burlesque show that you would see anywhere in Vegas. They didn't even have to go more than like 200. I mean, they didn't have to go more than 200 miles to see this, but they did. And of course, all these. I mean, here's the thing. For me, it was literally comparable. These girls were gushing and just going crazy walking into this. It was more crazier than like a kid visiting Disney for the first time. Like, it was that kind of raucous and
it was.
Well, I need to interject. They always react that way when they're brought to some venue. Every season and like when they're brought into a new hotel, they have to jump on the bed. It's like what they're told to do. And I think probably when they're being auditioned for the show, they make them act really excited over a refrigerator or something. And
we'd like to test your bed jumping skills now before we can get you into the semifinals.
And like how they show the men getting into the bathtub together and laugh. Yeah, I mean it's all for they're not really that excited at all. They're just coached.
But you're right, Jim. It's almost like they've, they never left the farm or something. Like if this is impressive to them, a hotel bed or that sort of cheesy nightclub, what would they think if they went and toured Windsor Castle or something? I mean, they wouldn't be able to be picked up off the floor. They'd
be exactly the same.
Oh, I suppose.
So part of this whole thing was that, they all got to dress up in that burlesque outfit, and the winner, if there was a winner, got to go on stage with Ari. And to my dismay, that what do I want to call it? That troll, that's kind of mean. But that boyish, well, that's kind of mean too.
All right, we know, Jim, that you don't like Becca, but I think she's kind of cute. But
what is wrong with the Paige? What is wrong with this man?
Oh,
find us attractive.
Oh, get a load. He loves girls with boyish haircuts and glasses and brunettes. That's his type. And by the way, I'm the opposite of the type. Blonde, long blonde hair, straight, no glasses.
See, I live vicariously on the other side of the equation on television because I marry a woman who's not that. But then
Yeah.
You just want a female Harry Potter, Jeff. Okay? That's what you want.
Well,
I mean,
when she came out with her red shoes and her matching little red dress, Paige called her
Becca Boop. She is. She's Betty Boop.
She
her
is.
that. She looks just like her. I called her that last week.
She does. She has those big silent movie, cartoon
Big
eyes,
wide-set
and
eyes. Yep. Tiny
everything
nose.
excites her. A little button
Everything,
nose, and of course she
That's how we
puts it all out there
differentiate the
and
Beccas.
and wins and gets to be on stage with Ari. But let me ask you this, Jim. Is this show really that risque that they had to bring out all that, those black squares to cover up the thongs and the women's butts? I mean, you just wonder how much of their backsides were really exposed, but there was a whole lot of Disney, ABC covering that up because I guess it's a family show, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. But I guess they weren't aware of how risque they're going to go. So that was the first blur out. But yet they were blurring out Corinne's, floppy boobs all over the place the last season and all that falling out. So
and who's the guy whose junk fell out that one time when they were doing
that was Joe.
Yeah.
That was on what's her
Caitlyn's season.
Caitlyn, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember whether she was by the pool
and someone tried to spray sunscreen on him on his balls.
So we've seen these disasters before.
Yes.
Lots of escaping flesh. Not a good thing for Disney. You got to cover that up.
Becca wins this, and she's elated because she probably should have won it because that's how excited she was about this thing. But what do you win here or lose? Because you go on stage with Ari, who looks like a damn Smurf. I mean, like a giant Smurf with a top hat.
And he lip synced really badly too, didn't he? Like, did he rehearse even for 5 minutes? You wonder.
To be honest, I didn't even
It's
notice.
like Mariah
Ari.
Carey. He's worse than
God.
Mariah.
Nobody is that bad. No, I didn't even notice Ari because my eyes were fixated on her. She's just great on stage, and she looked adorable, and she's so self-confident. She's 22, and she just has the most. Oh my God, she's loving it. She's so good at this. There's no way she wants to marry this guy.
See, Paige, I think you're actually defending me too. Like, you actually are finding these good qualities in her, which I think she's got those good qualities too. So maybe there's maybe, Jim, we can persuade you to come over to our
show. I'm not going that far. It's not like I want to do her or anything. I find her interesting to watch.
Well,
so
I mean,
I didn't notice
the other
Ari
girls
at
aren't
all.
particularly interesting. So at least she's got a personality that stands out.
Well,
there's
that's
not
true.
as many people who stand out.
She does. I mean, she does have a pretty good, like, her confidence and bubbliness does set her apart. Like, she just has more vibrancy to her and energy than any other girl. So that's not a question.
One thing I don't like about her is that from night one, she pulls girls aside and cattily says what the other girls said and just, I mean, it's a very obnoxious and very shows her age. I don't know.
That's the one place
She's just out of high school. So I mean,
but you're right.
where
She's just out of high school.
It's the one place where she is immature because she likes to do the gossip girl thing.
Well, it's just rude. I don't know. It's not appealing.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and she does do that. She likes to stir things up, and then she likes to, like, be the one to take charge, to be the alpha of the group, and try to be the voice of reason, and the one that kind of throws you under a bus and questions your intentions.
Yeah,
so
you're right, Jim. She does editorialize a lot about it. In fact, she was editorializing at the end of this episode too, where they had, it was very strange to have that much after the roses were all handed out, but she was sort of instigating the discussion of it and sort of throwing shade at somebody. I think it was Lauren about her saying, like, well, you did well now, but we'll see how you do next week. Yeah. And, just sort of bringing up the bad side of some of the other contestants.
Or just going behind people's backs and narking them out for, and probably making it sound a lot worse than it did. But Jim, so now that Caroline is long gone, who is your favorite?
I mean, listen. Caroline was my favorite. I will buy
anything she sells. So even if it's a broomstick, up in Florida, she's got swampland to show you, Jim. But my favorite now, I mean, personally, I kind of like. Well, I don't like most of them that are left, but there's something look-wise. I guess I can see the attraction in Kendall.
Yes, yeah.
I find her the most attractive of the remaining women.
Yeah. I agree with that. I totally was wondering if she was on your radar because she's my favorite at this point.
Well, she's very grounded too, and she was very mature, and I thought she handled all of the controversy with Krystal in the 2-on-1 very well, didn't you think?
Yeah, and she didn't she had every right to be offended, and she didn't act offended, and she maintained her dignity. When the other one didn't, when she was the one that, screwed, whatever. She was just a jerk, and she, so you saw it.
And she stopped stuffing animals and bringing them along as toys for the.
I can talk bad about her. She was stuffing me, so.
But I mean, she kind of put taxidermy away for a while, and maybe her final trophy was, Krystal stuffed and mounted on her wall, her victory wall.
Yikes! No, I was glad to see that. If I never see taxidermy again in my life, that'll be good. But what were you about to say, Jim?
No, I totally agree with that. No taxidermy for me either. But yeah, she was just part of that 2-on-1, and the way it started out with her and Krystal, and it just it was so weird too. They go to this chateau or whatever, and Ari's still playing tour guide, and then they goes to this weird maze. It reminded me of The Shining.
I know.
Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
And the worst part was that Kendall, of course, Krystal finds her way, but Kendall's lost in this. She can't find her way. I didn't know if this girl needed a GPS, a map.
You know what? Yeah, I wonder how long it would have taken them if Ari was chasing them with an axe. I think you've got a good idea there, Jim, The Shining.
But it's funny too, because they always have to set up that, it's looking bad for Kendall. She seems to be losing, and even Krystal seems so full of confidence, and she's, just sort of condescending to Kendall the entire time. And, Paige and I discovered too, Jim, this week that after every kind of put down, she does this kind of, kind of simpering kind of sigh,
I know, I can't. I'm thinking, is she having is this her way of insinuating sex? This is her sounds, her sexual sounds. I'm thinking if this is it, it's nice, but I'd hope it would be louder than that.
Maybe she's disappointed all the time. Is that for me, Ari? Is that? Are you done?
Yeah. It's either that, it's her moan or groan or gasp, but it's also she could be doing that during sex or eating a chicken sandwich. I don't know which one it would entail, because it would sound both ways that way with her.
It sounds like she ordered something really good from a takeout restaurant and it came and it was just lukewarm, so she's disappointed. So she's the filet sounded so good, but it's kind of cold.
Yeah, it's you don't know, you could take it any way possible. And then I can't stand, she follows that up when she's talking to Ari. She gets him off to the side, and she's talking all this nonsense. And then she's well, I love the color and depth and texture. I'm are you talking about his shirt? Is he sweating like Ben Higgins is, or what? That's what I'm thinking there. And then she managed to throw Kendall under the bus.
Yeah, and of course, you just spend all this time hearing Krystal brag about herself and how she's so confident, throwing so much shade at Kendall. And Kendall handled it really well. She's just sitting there kind of calm. But we were laughing because, Ari is, again, looking tired, and he doesn't want to be there, and he doesn't really want to look anybody in the eye. And, of course, you think he's probably going to save Krystal, and then he doesn't. And how good was Kendall? She was really calm about that too. She could have really thrown an evil glare at Krystal or given her a ha kind of look,
like they always do.
Well, like they usually do. But she was actually very calm and easygoing about it. I think she almost pitied her because she was so overly confident, and then she just crashed and burned.
I didn't
totally.
But when one of them throws the other under the bus, they always have a crazy confrontation afterwards. But anyway, that didn't happen because Kendall's a grown-up with dignity.
Yeah, and that dinner was so awkward. And the worst part was that Krystal had that Joker smile. She reminded me of the Joker with that weird, Joker smile. And I will say I was surprised he let her go. I expected, as you and I talked, Jeff, that she would last one more week at least. I thought she's getting through this episode. I just felt that Kendall's, kind of quietness and could have possibly been mistaken for Ari that she's just not interested, kind of like a Lauren thing. But he surprised me. He actually had a manly move for once.
He did. He was really mature and picked the right person, and even did the brave thing and talked about it with her one-on-one, and he talked about it sitting there with her. Yeah, he kind of stepped up and actually showed his maturity and age in the way he handled it. And, you know, he was very direct in telling her he didn't like what she did before. And she's trying to say, well, you know, can we get beyond this? Because this is what a relationship's like. And then he's like, well, you should have come to me from the start, because that isn't the start of a good relationship. So, you know, she was kind of indefensible in her stubbornness about not really even saying sorry until almost the last moment. But he handled it very well.
Yeah, he did. And he's shown now a couple of weeks in a row that when he's not forcing you to watch photo albums of him from 1971 or, you know, VHS videos of him from that age, he actually, you know, can make a decision, you know, when he's not too self-involved.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved it too when they went to that one. Well, I guess we can get to the next day when they go to Maxim's, and they get the best table in the restaurant. It's the only table that's actually filled with customers. It doesn't look like a booth or a great table to me. And I said to Paige, I said, yeah, they're there for the early bird special. We keep forgetting that Ari says that he likes things going to bed earlier and eat dinner earlier and shawl sweaters as he's getting to be older. But he handled it really well. The one thing I was laughing too about with Paige is, you know, they go to the Eiffel Tower then, and they're taking that up, and they keep cutting back and forth between Krystal just sitting there. And of course, you know that it's not in real time, because it probably took them 10 minutes or so just to go up that mile just to get to the Eiffel Tower. But we love it when they strand the girls on the 2-on-1s. Yeah. You know, it's like, well, you lost, so you now have to sit here. It's like, was it Cody who was left on that Arctic side of the mountain that one time? Or
waving at the helicopter as it lifted.
You know, or the swamps. When Bio left.
Oh, I forgot about the swamp.
Right.
That's right. Getting eaten by gators.
That's right. You know, they leave him back, and like you wonder, you know, is the voodoo priestess going to come now and turn her into a frog, or you know, is the party from Alive going to see Cody and say, "Finally, food, dinner served"? You know, but I mean, I just think it's so demeaning that not only have you lost the 2x1, but now we're going to make you sit here for a really long time and stew in your old pathetic loser juices.
Oh God.
No, totally. They really pulled that one. I mean, she didn't have a bad deal. I mean, she could have been stuck in the Sahara as was like
right.
Ashley I was, I think.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Both of them were, right? He left without either of them. He was
that's
like,
right.
see ya, both of you. I don't want to ever see your face. Yeah, that was funny.
She's in a restaurant overlooking the Eiffel Tower. She got it good.
That's true.
Yeah, she could now eat her meal that they never ever show them eating, because they just talk and don't touch their food.
Right. So, I mean, Krystal, they set her off nicely, and off she goes. So,
well, I said too, Jim, don't you think she's for sure going to be coming back for Bachelor in Paradise?
Oh yeah, no question.
Yeah, they're not letting her go.
No, that's not the last you've seen of her. So for now we have, and when Krystal leaves, we get to meet Jacqueline. So I thought she was a producer this whole time. And finally it was revealed that she's an actual contestant, which was shocking. And but it was also fitting, because Ari picks her up in this hot rod red car, and of course the car breaks down right away. And that right away proved to me that they spent way too much on this whole trip. The budget ran out, so they had no money to get a decent car, and that was the proof of it. The Bachelor gods have finally punished them for overspending money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, she liked it because it allowed him to sort of do what he does and look masculine, doing the tinkering under the hood and stuff. But I love the fact that the car was a triumph. Then, of course, it's a complete untriumph,
but
a complete dud.
It showed a terrific side of her. I mean, she rolls with it. She doesn't let it ruin her day. She's like, okay, well,
yeah, she was finding the good in it, wasn't she?
She was really, I like her a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And then he promises, to make it up to her by taking her on a shopping spree to one store, may I add. One damn store they went to only. That's not a spree when it's one store.
I'm also not sure if that was the height of, Paris couture either. I mean, the one thing looked like sort of like a gray uniform that you'd see in, a Star Trek knockoff or something. And then there was some plaid stuff that didn't look all that becoming. I don't know who really looks good in that much plaid. But, and then, of course, she comes out in a black dress, the most obvious thing that's, that you can find in any store. But she looked damn good in it. She's got great hair. Yeah. I have to tell you, you thought she was a producer, Jim. I thought she was Tia for a couple of episodes.
Oh.
They have a similar look in a way. They're both brunette and kind of pointy noses and big eyes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I disagree with that very much.
Well, I think there's similarities. If you saw them next to each other, they do have similar looks.
Yeah, okay.
No, Tia's got an awful hick tattoo on her shoulder. Okay. You can't compare that.
That's right. Tia has that southern drawl where she's always saying, like, do I have to do this? I don't know if I want to.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, and she's eating, frog legs, and this chick
that's right.
way more classier. And but you know what bothered me? This girl, I felt so bad for her. She was melting from stress on this date. She was just so nervous and so scared. And it's it's fucking Ari in front of you. What are you nervous about? Why are you so nervous? And she was it was genuine. You could tell this woman actually has her shit together, and she's genuine. She's probably successful, and Ari was intimidated by that. He actually admitted that, that he was intimidated by her success, and that, she's probably out of his league because she's too smart for him.
Well, you wonder too, Jim, are some of these women, are they feeling stressed not because they're insecure or unaware of how the show works, but again, some of these people are finally getting their time in the sun, and we're 5-6 episodes into it. So this is really kind of the first time that she's emerged that you didn't think she was a producer, and I didn't think she was another contestant almost, because she just isn't really participating or being part of these things. I can't remember a Bachelor season where some of these girls were down to the last 6 or 7, and they really haven't stepped forward as dates or personalities, even on the group dates, as late as a couple of these contestants have been.
Yeah, this is a latecomer's arrival to the party. It's hey, it's almost midnight in 5 minutes and you're arriving. That slipper's not going to get picked up at this time. So, Jacqueline's one of them. And but she made a good impression. She seemed really solid. But here's the thing. I think it's a downgrade for her. She's too normal for the show. She's too educated, too smart, and too normal for the show. She comes off too good, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, same with CN.
Mm-hmm. And that's why they're phasing her out too, because they're two normal women that are successful, probably good looking, and are too good for this show, and for him, especially for him. And he noticed that. He even said it. So, I think
your point too, Jim. I think people who are
pity rose, Jeff.
Yeah, and people who are smart and confident tend to not have to be too overt all the time to stand out. And this show tends to reward the people who stand out being very, very overt. Either as a villain or as the bubbly fan favorite. But if you're kind of a normal, everyday person who's smart and balanced and don't feel like you need to be the center of attention the whole time, they don't necessarily do well on this show because they're not star material that the show and the soap opera-ness of it needs.
Exactly. So they get phased out.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Good point that they're phasing CN out. You never see her talking anymore. And yeah, that's true. It's sad.
And even Jacqueline, she got the rose, but boy, they were trying to set up maybe she wasn't going to get it because she was insecure and stuff like that. But you could, and Ari was intimidated by her. And they even changed the music. It was so dramatic, kind of oh, is this loser music? But then, of course, they turn it, and they love to do that. They always like to set us up to think one way, and then suddenly it veers the other way. We think that Krystal's going to be the one who stays because she's so confident and she made it through the maze. And then, surprise, surprise, nope, you're stuck in Cody on the side of the frozen mountain land.
Right.
Yeah, no, they did do that, and that was surprising. So, but that's how they use it. They use it to tease during commercials going to the next week. And it worked this week because I was actually surprised that Krystal was gone. So that was the big surprise. And as far as, we had another rose ceremony, which is 6 weeks in a row. I don't know. Something's wrong at this point that we have 6 consecutive rose ceremonies on the show. But as we predicted last week, Jeff, my favorite, by the way, Paige, my favorite from the get-go, besides Caroline, was Jenna, because I called her. She reminded me of Margot Robbie. There's something about
Really?
Margot. Yes, and I tweeted that at. She tweeted me back about it too. We had a little.
She did? She tweeted back?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay.
So yeah, no, I thought she looked like Margot Robbie. If you look at her for certain angles, she was my favorite.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she had the blonde hair and the dark eyebrows and
makeup,
kind of makeup and Hollywoodish kind of starlet look.
What did she say in her tweet back to you?
She was just like, "Oh my God, thank you. Oh, I don't look anything." She's like, "I'm happy that you think of that." And then I wrote something back, and she replied again. And now she wrote something on Twitter saying that she's like, "Oh yes, I'm happy. Bye bye, Bachelor. I'm single again." I just retweeted her. I just tweeted. I'm like, not for much longer.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
nice.
we'll look forward to seeing her on the Women Tell All special.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but we knew she was going. They didn't feature her at all. Right. I mean, she was just kind of literally sliding by week to week. He didn't invest any time in her, so she was not a surprising elimination. I was surprised though with Chelsea, because I thought it was CN in a sense, because she's been also phased out, but Chelsea, I thought she had a little momentum last week, and so and he was kind of into her, so that was surprising to me at least.
Yeah, it's interesting with Ari. He has a lousy poker face. I feel like you can really tell who he's not interested in. At least he doesn't make eye contact, and But yeah, you're right. Chelsea wasn't one that he seemed obviously not interested in. But maybe because she was kind of a downer. I don't know. She wasn't.
Yeah, they set her up as kind of the villain in the first couple episodes, and then she just kind of became dull. But she did have a little bit of that rejuvenation when she was making out with him on the, what was that called? The jet ski, sitting backwards and mashing with him.
Right.
But other than that, they never really showed her having any really great conversation with him. So you're right, he kind of lost interest in her, and you can tell that with him. You can see the people he's now pulling away from, and they're being sent home. So, but maybe is he moving now towards some late entries like Lauren and Jacqueline? Are they going to figure now into the final mix of it? Because I mean, it's almost like he's gotten bored with the other people, and now he's moving on to some new people who none of us know.
Well, I predict Lauren will be gone next week. I think that was a pity rose, and because he'd be a jerk if he let her go after she was crying about whatever. I don't even remember, but she was crying.
Yeah, we've talked about this ad nauseum, Jim, but the way the show is sort of showcasing this, even with the Moulin Rouge thing, they make such a big deal out of Becca, and Krystal is gone now. So really the only person they've made a big deal week in and week out is Becca, and she's left. But who knows? I mean, I think you raised a good point, Paige, is she's so young. Is Ari really, at the end of the day, despite her being charming and funny and him mashing with her all the time? I mean, my God, how much tongue exposure do we get to see of those two every week? But is he going to pick a 22-year-old? I doubt it, at least as it's going on here. If he's really serious, he wouldn't. But who else is there that's really kind of shining in this season? We keep talking about how it's kind of dull, but they're getting rid of some of the more interesting people. And now with Krystal gone, they don't have a villain. They don't have. No. We've got 7 or 8 girls left, and they have yet to get down to the hometowns. And who's the foil next week? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I think next week is the week before hometowns, and hometowns
already.
So that means 3 are going home next week.
Oh, there you go.
And I think it's pretty easy. I think you're right, Paige. I think it's Lauren that's going home for sure. I think Jacqueline is going home.
Really? Okay.
I think CN is going home. I think those 3 are the ones going home. I think right now the 2 top front runners have to be Becca and Tia. I mean, it just seems like that is where it's headed for. I can see Kendall still making it to hometown and being the first one to go.
Yeah, he's not that interested in her.
He's not that into her, but I mean, he's still. I think he likes her looks, but there's no personality. But I think he's more into her looks than he is into some of these other women, like Jacqueline, who he's admitted to be intimidated. And, we can't work our schedules because you actually have to study and you actually have to work, and I have nothing to do with my life.
Yeah, no, you're right. And she actually told him that. She's like, I'm going to be super busy, and my priorities aren't going to be with you or marriage or what. Yeah, no, she actually laid that out pretty clearly.
What do you guys think of the other Becca? Paige, you think that other Becca might have a chance, right?
She's a favorite. She's a favorite. I'm telling you, she's a top 3 chick.
Oh yeah. She's the dark horse. She's like Catherine on Sean Lowe's season that really wasn't on the radar until like at the very end. And
she's kind of slow and steady, wins the race almost in a way. There's a quality to her that
he likes her.
She's nice, she's attractive. She says some of the right things. He's noticed her and everything else, but she's not flashy. But she's not doing anything that would be considered sort of a misstep either.
Yeah,
yeah. He likes the Beccas. He needs to have at least 2 of them in the final.
You're right.
Yeah, he's got to have the older Becca and the younger Becca.
Yeah. In fact, Jim, I was wondering this because you kind of have an insider. Whatever, stuff. Why is it that every season they need to have people of duplicate names? So it's Ryan M. and
it's become a trope.
It's become a shtick. It's become a shtick, like you would think. Yeah, it's become like something they can poke fun at. It's stupid, but they do that kind of purposely. So
yeah, they must, because how many Beccas are there in the world? And they somehow found 2 of them.
Yeah. No, they found 2 Beccas and a bunch of Laurens. That's why they played up on that too this season. Yeah, just something.
And you think they change one of them to Lori just for the show?
No, that's bad.
You're Lori, you're Lauren, you're Lauren B. Got it, everybody?
Lori, you're automatically 59.
Don't make me call you Lulu.
No, Lori sounds like a name of a Tia's like aunt from Arkansas. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a good name in the 70s.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, she'd be going home.
A Lori would be an I, Tanya, okay? It would be like a...
I, Tanya. Oh, Lord.
Oh, no.
Yes. And so who's your prediction for the ultimate winner of this season?
Well, as of right now, I think it comes down to Becca, the 2 Beccas in the final. Actually, I will say that. I think Tia and the 2 Beccas are going to be in a final 3. And I'm still debating. I'm pretty sure Becca K is going to be in a final. That dark horse that's going to make it all the way to the final 2. I'm just debating, does he let go of Becca M? Because I don't think she's winning. She's just too young.
No.
Does he let her go right before the final, or does he let her into the final over Tia? I think it's those 3 that it comes down to.
The big question, too, I have in regards to just the show politics is if she doesn't make it to the hometown, then they've at least gotten her sort of out of the system, right? But if they get her to hometown, with all the buildup that they've done with her, at least as a showcase thing, I'm taking my preferences out of it and just looking at the pure showmanship of how much attention and screen time she gets. If she gets into the hometown and she isn't one of the top 2, then the show is miscalculated on how they've edited the show and presented these people. Because up till now, it's been her and Krystal. Period.
Yeah, you're right.
Everybody else, Tia maybe on the outside, and we like Beckham, we like Jacqueline and those people, but as Paige said, she's read her bio and they're accomplished and they come off good for not coming off bad. But it's not like they're breaking through as breakthrough characters the way last year. My God, when you went into the final 4 or 5 for Nick Viall, you had Vanessa and Rachel and Corinne and Raven. Those were 4 very strong, vivid people who we kind of got to know. And yeah, sure enough, that would make sense that they were in the final 4 because they were the established stars as it all went on. But I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing we can't tell who the other stars are here. But I think it's funny that we're down to really sort of 1 right now and a bunch of other people who really have to come through strong in the next 2 episodes, because we've got to go into the finale and care about both of the gals, and if we don't even know them, how's that going to happen?
Right.
Yeah, but I think they might be hiding one is that dark horse, which I think is Becca K. They gave you enough of her to make you notice that she's there, but they didn't go all in on her. So I think she can justify getting in there, and at that point, somehow to the final because we have seen a little bit of her. But yeah, the focus is Becca because Becca K has no personality. That's the thing. She's just she's normal too. I think she's normal, just like Jacqueline and CN, but she's actually liked by Ari. So that's the only difference between that. He's actually into her versus the other two that he's kind of lukewarm on that they're going to be probably going home next week.
Yeah. And I think Becca Boop is going to be the runner-up, and when he tells her, "Yeah, you're not the one," she'll be like, "Oh, thank God!" And then they'll tell each other knock-knock jokes or something, and she'll be really jubilant. I think she does not want to. She's enjoying the publicity.
And then you have to worry, Paige, because your husband's going to go crazy over that with the
No, I'll get to watch her when they bring her back as the Bachelorette, because if they don't bring back Christina Schulman, I think the only choice they've got is Becca Boop.
No, because she's 22. Oh my God.
Who else are they going to bring in? Who's not enough personality?
Nobody.
They're going to have to go back and find somebody from another season. Maybe Ashley I finally.
Oh God,
but
no.
that will be like a train wreck
she'll be crying.
She'll be crying every date.
No one can stand her.
No, she's just more of a sideshow, like Winter Games or Paradise.
Exactly.
Is Vanessa Grimaldi hanging around L.A. because she heard that this was such a boring season and that she thinks they're going to offer her the Bachelorette? I wouldn't be surprised if that's her end game ideal.
No, Vanessa Grimaldi is probably looking for jobs to be a school teacher in L.A. because that's such a good place to teach America's youth, and look for jobs in school teaching.
But she isn't really interested in that, I think. She's interested in, hawking hair care and makeup products on Instagram, which is what she's doing a lot. By the way, I wanted to share one thing with you guys. I was going to tell you this, Jim, but I'll give the people on ABC, including Chris Harrison, credit for this. They are very aware of what is sort of talked about in Bachelor Nation all up and down social media. Chris Harrison 2 days ago said, "I know a lot of you people are thinking that this is a very boring season, but I guarantee you that it's going to have an exciting, you won't believe it ending."
Oh, yeah.
So
what does that? No, he doesn't. And I mean, he might say, "Oh, it's the most shocking surprise," whatever else. I mean, usually it's yes. The Bachelor will find love, like I guarantee there's going to be a ring, so you don't know who it is yet, but I can tell you it's going to have a happy ending. But he is saying that there's going to be some whopper coming up at the end that is sort of going to make this all worth it and have great talk value.
Remember, and that brings me kind of to my point, thinking that Tia is probably going to be in a final. Remember this guy that's going to come in and try to get his woman back?
Right.
He seemed like a hillbilly from Arkansas to me.
Oh, yes.
So, only guy that Tia could probably date.
That's what Paige said. Paige said the same thing. She goes, that's got to be Tia's boyfriend, right? Because it's the whole Southern thing.
Has to be. So that kind of makes me think that she might be kind of a shoo-in in the final, and that would be the guy.
Comes right at the end to say, "No way, baby."
Or would Ari be like, "Oh my God, this isn't worth the trouble, and I don't need this"?
Or maybe she'd say no to him and go off with this guy, her old boyfriend. Wouldn't that be funny? Like turn down the Neil Lane ring.
No, that won't happen.
That
won't happen.
That's her lifetime, okay? She's a physical therapist. She can cash that in, and if she stays with him. And
she only has to last about 4 weeks, it seems. That's, I think, as long as Nick and Vanessa lasted. I guess through the end of Dancing with the Stars.
Right, and she can go party with Raven. So come on, no, she's got to stick around for that.
That's right.
Right.
She's Raven's friend.
That's true, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she'll, as being like Raven from Arkansas, she'll come in third and then be like, "Oh, I've never had an orgasm," and then they'll show her dancing in the streets after their fantasy suite date?
Oh my God, that was so
cheesy.
Oh, Nick Vale said, "Please, I'll give you $20,000 back if you pay her that to say that I gave her an orgasm."
Yes.
More women from Arkansas than there actually is women in Arkansas.
Right.
They found the 2 people who are eligible who are still single, and they're surprisingly over 16.
Yeah? Oh, God, that's rough. But it's not untrue. Okay.
But I'm just wondering, what is that big drama? I mean, they're hinting at it. In fact, it's interesting, is it not, guys, that they keep showing all this these previews, like they say, you know, like we see them talking after the thing where we hear Lauren B complaining to a producer, and then Becca's talking, throwing shade about somebody, probably Lauren, maybe setting up the next, you know, sort of rivalry or something. But then, you know, they have Chris Harrison say, next week on The Bachelor and in future episodes and in the finale. I mean, they keep trying to show you that there is something dramatic and exciting coming here other than just broken down cars in France.
But you know what? But that's not being publicized or talked about or teased because we need to hear about Bachelor Winter Games. That's what their focus is right now.
It really is, isn't it?
That's true.
It's unreal.
And they're bringing it out next week already before we've even gotten to the hometowns or the after the Women Tell All stuff. So, I mean, they really are pushing that up to keep the Bachelor universe percolating because it may, as Chris says in the last episode, but it doesn't seem like it's going to do any of that until the last episode.
I just don't see. Yeah, it's almost like a distraction to this season's Bachelor. I feel they could have done this winter. I get it. They want to be with the Olympics and stuff, but they could have at least put less of a focus, maybe, or maybe even done it middle of the Olympics, or in that way we'd be already at hometowns, you know. But they're trying to like capitalize on the whole Olympic connection when there's really no connection at all, and it's just going to be. I don't see how this show could be good. I mean, you get the concept of Bachelor in Paradise, but this one not so much. So they're like competing. Is this like the real world challenge now? Just
like
Bachelor
Battle of the Network Stars or something.
Isn't it because The Bachelor is in other countries?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it that it'll be like the Olympics in that the contestants from other countries will be competing? I mean, where did I hear that?
I'm not sure. I mean, I also wonder how long is it going to last? Is it just 4 weeks? I can't see them pushing that to 6 or 8.
Right, no, and that's but it's like they're trying to get all international. They probably have like 3 people international because Dean's doofus face is in there.
You're right.
Ruins everything.
This is true.
Wouldn't it be funny if Juan Pablo came back?
Oh dear God.
They would not.
Okay. It's okay.
They won't let him back. The producers, everyone hates him, right?
I think they should have had Ari and his girls go and visit Chris Soules in prison.
But I would watch that.
We're gonna have a prison talent show, girls.
Jesus.
Each of you are gonna have to sing a song with Chris Soules.
That's so bad.
And then he'll show you his tractor.
Oh God! Right?
Yeah. And then we'll bring out Nick Viall again for the 5th time.
God.
That's right. He'll keep coming back. He'll show up in the Winter Games. He'll be the color commentator, like, yes, I'm here to talk through my teeth like a ventriloquist dummy and talk about who's doing the best in the skating.
Did you hear who he's dating? Like, here too. Nick Viall is dating January Jones. Okay, and yes,
wow.
Yeah, she apparently she talked about how she's into the show. She's like a huge fan, and then she found him cute. And next thing you know, he's of course reaching out to her. They're going on dates, and now they're in a relationship.
What? Oh my God, that's weird.
That's so strange.
I did not know that.
Well, and we know that Dean is dating Leslie Ann Murphy. She came back for this, which I can't believe she came back for it because she's doing that. The road less traveled, get it, Leslie, less travel with the LES. And she's going all over the world in all these tropical locations and taking pictures of her staying in the most sumptuous of hotels and eating great food and everything else. I can't believe she came back for this, let alone succumb to, getting involved with some Bachelor guy. I mean, I suppose any publicity is good publicity for her blog and her career as a travel writer, but still, these people never leave that Bachelor orbit, do they? They always somehow come back, and it becomes this weird Illuminati club or something. Once you're in, you can't get out. You have to keep making blood sacrifices, except it's your pride.
It's true. I mean, and speaking of this travel stuff, while I was rotting away in Green Bay a few weeks ago and dying slowly, actually quickly, then I'm watching First Look TV. Do you guys ever watch this on a Saturday night? It's on NBC. It's right after SNL. It's called First Look. It's like luxury kind of these people travel. It's like a travel travel show, basically. You travel to these exotic locations or these like fancy locales around the country or outside of the country, and it's like hosted. It's kind of like a magazine travel show, kind of luxury, living. So it's hosted by Audrina Partridge from
oh wow,
from the Hills. And she's been replaced. And guess who's the new host of First Look TV? Ben freaking Higgins. Okay.
Oh, no.
Yes, and traveling with him, I'd rather stay in Green Bay. Okay, if that's what it means.
Oh my God.
He is awful. This guy is awful. The first episode has him going to like the Improv in Denver, and he's going to go on stage to do a improv bit. Like a comedy, literally like a stand-up comedian, and he gets coached up by these comics and stuff, and he goes on there. There's a live studio, like actual improv audience that come to the show, and he's performing that night, and he falls flat. And then you have him like going off to like visit some like bar, some fancy bar, and he's talking about all the drinks there. Like, why? How did he get this gig? What?
I remember that coming on after SNL, and Allie used to have that gig.
Yeah, and Allie's done. Allie also does she did the Xfinity Comcast thing for a while too.
Yes, and then she got replaced with Audrina, and then Audrina got replaced with Ben Higgins.
Oh my God, that's so weird. That's funny. And
in other Bachelor dating news, Sarah Hyland. I don't watch Modern Family, but she looks like she's like 15, but apparently she's like 20 something, mid-20s. Sarah Hyland. She's dating Wells Adams, okay?
Yeah. Oh, the Bachelor bartender.
Bachelor in Paradise.
Not Jorge. Not Jorge.
Not Jorge. That would be awesome.
That would be better.
Far more interesting. She were dating Jorge.
Yeah.
It was either Ed O'Neill or Jorge. And, I have to work with Ed, so, but I like the older guys.
Wells was a lot of fun, I gotta say. I mean, she could have done worse.
But how are these guys venturing off to dating legitimate celebrities? That's my question.
Yeah.
Point where these women, these Hollywood women who are just like brainwashed it and like just going through corrupt scandals like with the Weinstein craps and all that, they're settling now for like reality TV Bachelor stars, not even Hollywood men. They don't want no Matt Damon or Ben Affleck's anymore. There's no Molly's Game anymore. There's just like Bachelor games with these men from the Bachelor.
That's true.
It's funny, and they just can't leave town. Once they've done the Bachelor, they just can't leave town. It's like Chris Soules. Paige used to say he would go to the opening of an envelope. I mean, that guy showed up on Dancing with the Stars and everything, and it's like, why is he there?
Subsequent seasons,
and other seasons, he's advising. This person's like, don't you have a back 40 to bring in? I mean, that guy isn't sat on a tractor. In fact, the only time he was in Iowa again was when he got drunk because he had to go back to Iowa, and he crashed his car and left the scene of the crime. That's how much he hated being back in the world of farming.
Didn't he hit were they both in tractors when he the accident? Were they both? Somebody was in a tractor.
No, I think it was someone walking from what I think.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was that, because if it was a tractor, a head-on at 5 miles?
At 5 miles, you're right. Okay, you're right. I'm not sure. The tractor rolled. And,
one of those big wheels took him out.
You're right.
It really wasn't the speed. It was the size of that really big wheel that unfortunately squashed his head like a melon. But I mean, I love the fact, too, that Chris Soules was... he not only was drinking and driving, but then he decided to run because he knew, well, shit, I've been drinking and driving. But so he compounds it rather than saying, I know my alcohol level's a little high. I likes the rum. He compounds it by then leaving the scene of the crime. So they throw the book at him doubly.
Yeah, the man died, which is the craziest part. There's someone that died because of Chris Soules.
Yeah, you don't see Chris Harrison bringing that one up. They'll bring back Caitlyn and her Bo. They're even doing commercials now, and they'll bring back Sean for everything to comment on anything, but they don't talk about those ones that didn't quite work out or the ugly scandals. But
Right.
Maybe he'll talk about Nick's dating January Jones.
Yeah.
But you know what? And speaking of Caitlyn, actually, she just again on Twitter. This time again, she's still continuing the whole body shaming thing, and people apparently commenting on a lot on her that she's rail thin apparently for whatever reason. And she has looked thinner, no question. But she just lashed out last week on Twitter, just like throwing F-bombs and
really?
Yeah, she was really like uncensored, let's say, and just calling people out, MFers and all sorts of stuff by just questioning her, her weight loss. And then she had, of course, celebrities come to her aid, like Sarah Hyland, I think, might have been one.
Right.
As well as must have thrown in a word.
Yeah.
That's
the Illuminati.
That was a big thing with, I don't know, she's trying to be relevant, or like this whole her body shaming thing was been a thing she's been latched onto since her season, and I get it. Some of it's warranted, but it's like to this point, it's like, come on, just stop at this point.
Well, you think she'd ignore it? She's been that weight for a while now, and she's changed her hair color, and she's done the whole Hollywood makeover. But get over it. The people trolling her were 3-4 years ago now. You think she'd be able to sort of let it roll off her back and just comment on other stuff, and especially since she's still with his name is Sean too, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's still with him, so she's one of the Bachelor successes. Go with that. You're in the most rarefied of Bachelor air.
Yeah.
What's his name? Sean. I call him Sean Schnozzling because that was mine. Because he kind of looked like Gosling, but he had a big schnoz, so it's
That's great.
I love that.
That's great.
Well, and Sean, how much of a trooper was he? Because he still wanted to marry Caitlyn after he found out that she couldn't resist Nick and slept with him in the middle of the season. And he's like, I'll still hang around. I don't care. It's all right.
Well, what else? Yes, he's a personal trainer. I mean,
hey, maybe he could get together with Krystal in Bachelor in Paradise if it doesn't work out with Caitlyn.
Oh no.
No, he lives in Tennessee apparently, so he's stuck there with Caitlyn, in Nashville.
Yeah. Speaking of like body shaming or whatever, I've noticed there were 2 nose jobs of the contestants this season, but
really,
2 nose jobs. I did not notice any. I don't know that there's been any augmented breasts this season.
Yeah, they've been pretty, again, normal-looking people for once.
Yeah.
Who are the 2 girls who you think have nose jobs, Paige?
Jenna and Krystal.
I know. Stop talking about my girl. I know.
I like Jenna. She's very likable. Nothing wrong with a nose job. Deviated septum. Deviated septum. That's what they're called. Same with boob jobs. They're called deviated septums.
yeah, right. Just in her chest. Deviated way off to the side instead of hanging.
Yeah.
But I can see Jenna for sure. I've noticed that too. But Krystal, you think that's a nose job?
Hell yes. Watch her again. That's a nose job. Yes.
She's got almost like a cartoon character's nose, like
it's really small.
Yeah,
well, it's a little too like sucked in on the sides and then the flaring nostrils anyway. But the tip is all No, you look at it a little closer.
I can see that, because it definitely stands out. I mean, for me, the only thing that bothers me, Krystal, besides obviously noticing that, is just she reminds me so much of one of my exes. I freaking cringe every time I see her on screen. I'm like, my
as far
God.
as looks or person, don't say personality.
Both.
No.
Okay. Yes. Even worse personality for sure.
One of the things that we noticed about her in this episode, and really through the whole time she's been on The Bachelor, there was nothing fun about her being a villain. I mean, a lot of times, like Corinne and Courtney Robertson, they were funny and they were, lively, and sometimes the stuff they said was kind of true. Like they were ballsy enough to say this person was boring or this person wasn't right for the guy, and they were kind of right about those things. But there was nothing really watchable about Krystal. I mean, she wasn't even, as beautiful as some of the other girls on the show that you could say, like, well, Courtney Robertson at her season was the most striking of the women as well as the funniest. But Krystal was kind of a dud as a personality, and she wasn't even witty or a particularly clever villain.
Well, she just had her wife material line last episode, right? The one we just talked about. she's like, honey, I'm wife material or whatever.
That's right. Yeah. No, she was insufferable from day one. So yeah. I mean,
it's like, damn, if you wipe her up, you're in for a bunch of years of misery. That's for sure.
No kidding.
And am I the only one who still thinks that Ari has not gotten any sleep since this thing started? I mean, and then he's got to take the red eye to France, and he looks tired to me all the time. Right, he's like,
I mean, the guy wakes up at the crack of dawn and goes to sleep at 8 p.m. Okay, so you can't get to 8 p.m. to bed when he's still filming this stuff. So yeah, of course he's not getting any sleep. And then just the thought of him and Becca together when Becca's probably getting ready to go out at 8 p.m. and he's going to bed at 8 p.m. Right. She's coming home from being out and he's going to bed.
She's getting her second wind.
Yes.
How is this going to work?
It's not. Oh my God, it's not. No, they both know this isn't. They both don't. I mean, she certainly doesn't want it to last. Come on, she's 22. She's free spirited. Why would? Well,
see, I keep wondering too if she's in Hollywood, she's a young actress and a model. She may have come on to the
model. What?
No, she's not a model.
No, she's done some modeling.
No,
with her armpits. She's doing some Lady Chic advertising.
Yeah. To you, her mind.
She's going to be in the Hippie Hollow catalog. Come here and let it all hang out.
Magazine for Jeff alone.
Oh, listen.
Yeah, for real. That's the only person that would look at it. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, he Googles her a lot.
Yes, and he sent me pictures of her with hairy armpits. Okay,
yeah, she's proud of that.
Yeah, she's posting this stuff on Instagram. It's fascinating.
Honestly,
she's putting it out there.
She's not
literally and figuratively. I'm just saying.
She's who she is, and she's not. My God, for 22, she's a really cool person. I gotta say, flaunt those hairy armpits. Be yourself.
Yeah, just not around me, that's for sure.
Well, whether she wins or not, she's really the star of this season.
For sure.
She's the one who broke through. And, if this gets her a sitcom role or gets her the next Bachelorette thing, though I grant you, I think you're right, she is too young. But, she could be coming back in 3 seasons if she's ready to settle down then or whatever like that. Who knows? I mean, she's done herself very well. Even if she loses, she hasn't really lost anything.
No, you're right. I mean, she could come back down the road when Ari's kid's on The Bachelor, and
she'll be the cougar, the Bachelor cougar.
No, they'll be pretty close.
And Nick Viall will still be he'll be competing against his son for the affections.
Nick Viall will be still coming back on his 7th run.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Some things never die, okay? And that's you. I mean, you have guarantees in life: death, taxes, Nick Viall, and The Bachelor.
Do you still think Christina Schulman's going to be the Bachelorette?
Yeah, I think she should be. I mean, every time I look at my phone, I get a picture from you of her on Instagram
posing with roses,
or I mean. How often does she spend? Where is she doing her dental hygienist work in Kentucky? Okay, because I need to know because she's in LA constantly in Marina Del Rey and all these spots. Whose teeth is she cleaning? Okay, I need to know this.
She's got a kiosk on the beach.
She's got her own producer from The Bachelor who's taking her to all these tropical locales and shooting her with roses and wine and bikinis and all that stuff, and she's flossing in between sessions.
Right. I mean, I need a cleaning coming up, and now I can't go to Louisville or anything, can't even book a trip there because
she's not going to be there.
Yeah, so, I mean, what is she prepping for in LA? I mean, what is this photo shoot going to end with?
Well, and by the way, didn't she respond to your tweets at some point?
Oh, back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I thought I heard that.
You should tweet her again and say, hey, it's me again. I do my podcast every week. I write about it. I'm a big deal. I started the CIFCC. Are you the new Bachelorette? Can I have the first interview? I bet you she'd at least write you back and say, I can't say, or if I do, you will be the first. You could do, I think you could explore that, Jim.
Yeah,
and then she's probably under a gag. For sure. She can't say anything.
She might say she could give you an interview, though.
I'm also curious, Jim, how did you know so early on that Ari would be the next Bachelor? What's your, how do you know this stuff? Who's your connection?
My connection.
Or what's your connection?
There's a bird that flies by. No, okay. I mean, I guess, a little bit of everything. I check out stuff online, and then I have certain people from the show that I've talked to before.
Oh, okay.
That I have connections with in a sense, and sometimes I get nuggets dropped that way. But with him, what it was is that he was supposed to be a Bachelor. He was kind of promised the gig that ended up going to Krystal's. So he was kind of fresh off Emily Maynard still. It was only, who was it? Juan Pablo, I think, before that. And and he was supposed to be the guy. But then they actually kind of told him that he's going to be the guy. And then they loved the reaction that Krystal's got as his farm. And they thought, oh my God, we have this like fairy tale. Well, should they know what happens later in the future? But, this farmer guy, he's such a nice guy. People will love him, blah, blah, blah. So they kind of flipped the switch and they went with Krystal, and Ari was pissed. He was disappointed because they kind of assured him. And then they went with Krystal, and they never went back to him because then they had Ben Higgins made in, who was their, easy choice. And then the next two guys after that were, supposed to be Luke, but that one fell through last minute when they decided to just go with Nick after, getting all this. Nick was a choice because they knew how they could work with him. Literally, they knew he would do whatever, that he knew the inner workings of the show so much, and he knew exactly how to play it up. And they were so confident in his choice because a guy like Luke, they weren't kind of sure about, but Nick, that was a controllable asset. That's the guy that he knows how the inner workings of the show go. He will play by team rules and do whatever the production wants him, and he'll make it seem like, because he's so savvy about how the show runs. So with him, it was get Nick last minute, and Luke got screwed. And then same thing kind of happened with Peter. Well, Peter actually screwed them. So that's how they ended up with Ari. Hey, we have no other choices. We kind of burned out. We can't go back to Luke because he will never take a call from us again after screwing him, after he booked an airplane to be going the next morning to filming, and they called him the night of when he's getting ready to fly out to tell him that they're going with Nick. So he tossed them aside and never would do a show with them. That's why you never saw him on Paradise or anything. And then Peter kind of screwed them because they wanted him to be a Muppet, a controllable monkey, and he just didn't agree to what Nick would. So that's why they ended up going back to Ari and trying to convince him, like, hey, we owe you one. We owe you a mulligan for not passing you up a few years ago. Will you still do it? And then he finally agreed to it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot about who they can work with and who kind of gets it, because there are those tropes, there are those cliches and that shtick that they kind of have to do. Like, even, we've always guessed, and I'm sure it is, but you have to keep the villain around for a while, even though everybody at home is going to say, are you nuts to keep bringing her back? But it makes for good television. And I'm sure somebody like Peter was like, well, I don't want to do that because if she's insufferable, I don't want to have to even pretend. And they said, no, you got to do it. That's the way it is. And he goes, well, no, I don't have to do it. I don't have to do your show.
Right, and that's what it pretty much came down to, things like that. These kind of requests that Peter just, as you could tell, he was pretty legit and genuine. That's why he left insufferable Rachel like that, because he just didn't want to play by the rules. He just wanted to be straight up and legitimate about it. Okay, so that's why he passed on him. And, I mean, kudos to him. He hasn't looked back, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. By the way, are Rachel and Dr. Miami still together? Because that was weird as all get out.
Oh, we haven't heard much about it, right? They phased them out. I mean, talk about, it's not for doing something, shady or anything, but they just knew the bad reaction that she got. They didn't want to associate with her much because they kind of were fooled by her in a sense where they banked on her being this fan favorite. Oh my God, she was so loved on when she made the final 4 or final 3, and like everyone's gonna like her first Black Bachelorette, and she was not what they expected her to be in a sense. And it maybe, and the reaction she got was not good. The people turned on her because they kind of finally saw her bitchy attitude and how she threw people on her bus and how she called people out, how she had a personal agenda. And she was very direct on throwing people under the bus and these guys when she would make these backhanded comments to them, especially on the tell-all show. And she just had no kind of regard for anyone, and she wanted to throw her weight and power around, and that rubbed people the wrong way and eventually rubbed the show the wrong way to the point where we're not hearing much from her right now. And if you want to know, she's trying so hard on social media. If you look on Monday night, she's commenting on her fellow Bachelor people's comments, and she's commenting on every aspect of Ari's season, and she's just trying to get into conversation and get it rolling again.
Really?
It's funny though, because I think what you were just talking about with Peter too is his sort of rise so much that they wanted him to be the Bachelor coincides with her sort of decline as the Bachelorette. She came off so craven in trying to insist that he has to go with her to the final. She basically said, I want you, I don't want Dr. Miami. And he was just, hey, I'm not going to say I love you and put a ring on it if I don't feel like I really know you that well. And he kind of called it as it was, saying, look, we've been out 3 times. That isn't enough for me to decide, yes, I'm ready to get down and treat marriage so frivolously. And she was following the playbook of The Bachelor, hook, line, and sinker, but she came off terrible. And then that whole thing goes south, and then she turns around and picks Dr. Miami like, oh, that's the one she really wanted. It's like, no, that isn't true. We saw how, and even the producers of the show spent an hour on her trying to convince Peter, and then they try to convince us that, oh, this is the real person she wanted. And I think America, as well as the show, kind of looked at the truth of that matter and went, we don't really like her, and she screwed that up, and so she's not one of our favorites now that we want to see over and over again.
Yeah, and first of all, to just correct you quickly, do not call him Dr. Miami. If I get a Groupon to see him, he's a chiropractor.
Yeah, I forget what his name was. All I know is that he had cheek implants. I mean, it looked like he did anyway. I mean, it looked like he was, and his mom was really, she was representing some cartel or something, wasn't she? I don't know, but it was weird.
Right? No, she was. Yeah, she rubbed me the wrong way.
She threatened Rachel
the wrong way.
Well, she threatened her.
I know.
She said, "You treat my boy bad, I'll kill you." What?
Yeah, very odd.
Yeah, it's Brian with a Y. Okay, and he's 30.
Okay.
That's it.
Sure.
Oh. Okay, got it. I'll never call him that again. That's just how I remember. That's how he stands out to me, because he was a creeper from the start.
Yeah, and so overconfident, right? I mean,
he was just
insufferable.
He was smarmy and disgusting. I'm surprised they're still together. I mean, I felt like she chose him because they had physical chemistry, but I don't know. I don't remember any conversations they ever had or any depth there.
But it is funny how even though they want them to pick somebody and get the Neil Lane ring out and have the happy ending and all that kind of stuff, sometimes people just don't buy it. I mean, look at Desiree. I mean, how Desiree was chasing Brooks the entire season, and Brooks did the same thing that Peter does. Like, you know what? This is a game, and I'm not going to compromise my dignity for somebody I've been on a date with twice and say, yes, I'm ready to marry. I mean, I think they were probably getting an unfortunate reality check on what it was really expected of them, and they thought, hey, we can go out of here and I'll be the winner and we'll date. But no, they want that ring. They want it to be a wedding proposal. But, people like Desiree, who then picks the guy she picked, and that wasn't really who she wanted. And same with Rachel, missing out and Peter turning her down. I think there's kind of this stink on them because they don't seem like a real couple in a way, because they weren't.
No, they weren't. It was fabricated just to get through the show.
Yeah, exactly. That was weird. Yeah.
Well, this was a fun show. Much more fun talking about it.
Oh my God. I haven't laughed that hard in a while.
By the way, we could go on till the end of the season probably and still continue this podcast continuously. Okay.
Yes.
There's just so much to talk about this show. It's so crazy, but we're coming to a quick end. It just seems like, whoa, Hometown's just one more episode away. It kind of went by quick. Because no one really stood out, and with the blink of a deer in Paris, and then hey, Hometowns, you just get one trip.
Right. This is true.
Oh, Tuscany's next. Okay.
Oh,
so,
that's right. Okay.
But still, it's really fast. You're right. It's they're kind of here, they're there, and it's moving fast, and it doesn't seem to be lasting as long or we aren't savoring it as much because I think a lot of those people aren't breaking through. I mean, honestly, I don't want to repeat myself, but when you had Rachel, Vanessa, Raven, and Corinne, you had 4 pretty strong contenders right up until the end. And here, like I said, you've gotten rid of Krystal now. You really are going to have to do some heavy lifting in the next 2 weeks to justify hometown dates with anybody other than Becca M to have us invested in them because we barely know them. I don't think Ari knows them, at least what we've seen on the show. It's like, oh, I'm finally out here with Jacqueline. Who are you again? The producer?
Right.
Exactly.
Well, do you think that the show will live up to Chris Harrison's claim of it being the most earth-shaking something or other? What the hell? Do you think that, God, do you have any predictions on what that might be?
Yeah, the earth-shaking, until next week when there's another earth-shaking moment that he's going to talk about. It's being, like he always likes saying that this is the most dramatic season ever.
Okay,
it
right.
means nothing. It's like Chris Harrison saying, hey, Ari, we're in the city of love, so make sure you bring that up, okay?
Yeah.
We hope you find love here, because otherwise we really screwed the pooch on this location. Here's my one question for both of you, just something to think about as we end this one and talk next week, is if Chris Harrison says something like, if he goes another step farther this week and says it's going to be the most shocking ending for it ever, and uses a term like shocking, then I think we're into, something that happens maybe after the victory in that. What was the guy with Melissa Rycroft? Jason, was that guy? What was that guy's name?
I don't remember. Wow, I wonder if it's like
is
somebody
it something
gives...
dramatic like that? Like either the woman he proposes to says no, or they're broken up by the time they bring them back for after the final rose, or somebody changes their mind. I don't know, but when he's teasing this out, like we're going to have a very dramatic end. What is that dramatic end? I mean, does somebody go apeshit crazy and gets out an AK-47 when they're rejected coming out of the limousine for the final 2?
I think somebody gets syphilis in the fantasy suite.
Well,
That's got to be it. What else could it be that's so like, whoa?
Well, is it something in after the final rose? I mean,
isn't that the boyfriend though?
It could be, but I don't know.
Oh,
that could be fake too. They've done that before.
Oh my God, a lot.
So many times, and then it's not really what it is, I don't know. If he's saying that the ending is going to be that big, but I mean, if they did do that, if it was ending, it would have to be like she would decide to go off with him and reject Ari, and that would be
or Ari would be like,
dramatic.
"You're not worth the trouble. I've got these other women."
Yeah, so he drops the one he was going to propose to or something.
Well,
we'll see. We'll see. I guess. Yeah. Hopefully, Chris Harrison's promise is something that he keeps, and it lives up to it.
Right, but this boyfriend has got to surpass all the other ones.
He's got a lot to live up to.
All the other angry exes.
If he's anything like Tia,
wasn't that his name?
If he's anything like Tia from the South, eating frog legs to the extreme, I think we might have a winner here.
There you go.
Yeah, hanging out with crocodiles.
He'll be the next Bachelor to this.
She loves being in nature, right, with crocodiles on a swamp. So.
Yes.
See, wouldn't it be funny if Ari said, I'm not going to pick either one of you ladies because I'm going off with Brad Womack?
Oh, dear God.
There you go. There's a shocker. There's the ending, Chris Harrison.
It's like, didn't you bring up that there should be a gay bachelor?
They could do a gay bachelor or an older bachelor. I mean, they could do the older bachelorette.
Ari isn't old enough for you? What are you talking?
I'm thinking like the cougar second time around kind of woman. Maybe she's married, has kids. She's 40 or 50. Would they ever do that? I mean, no, but that would give it certainly some novelty, right?
Well, Jeff, those women tend to hit on me online. Okay, so they're not.
See, you can bring in like the geezers and the young studs like you, Jim.
Like that woman, that grandma that showed up on what's his face with his remember grandma?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
The granny who showed up in the first night.
And then her granddaughter was like, I can't go on the one-on-one with you. I'm here because my grandma. Remember that? She's like, I'm totally not into you. My grandma was.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
bye.
right. Oh,
Well, I mean, On that note, we need to stop all this fun because got to save it for later, right?
Right.
Another week of disaster.
Yes.
Impending. Wait, so now we got to do this twice because of the Bachelor Winter Games? Apparently.
Yes. We'll have so much to talk about.
Well, we're including now Bachelor Winter Games next week in our reviews, so that's something to look forward
does
to.
it start next week?
Yep.
Is that what you said?
February 13th.
But,
Yeah.
Oh, so they coincide?
They're going to have it on after this, I think.
No kidding. Oh, okay.
I think they'll just do an hour. They'll probably do like 6 hours, and it'll just be an hour program from 9 to 10.
Yeah, no, it has to be because I don't see them filling in all this content. That's too much content.
It's like a Superstars competition, a little sporting event, so it'll not last as long, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it really can't last. Okay. Oh, no, I'm actually looking at TV Guide right now. It is 7 to 9, okay, on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Different night.
Oh, it is on Tuesday. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, 2 hours. So
okay.
Damn.
Wow.
All right.
They want more programming. They want more hours.
Yeah, they kind of never cut it short, do
That's
they?
funny.
Oh, God.
Unreal.
Yes.
Well, on that note, Jeff, Paige, both of you, where can people reach you or talk to you or
Well, I'm at Jeff York Writer on Twitter. I have my movie blog, The Establishing Shot, and I also host a podcast that you can get on iTunes or Stitcher or networkisa.org called Page to Screen.
Page to Screen? Is that?
It's not my wife, Page to Screen. It's like scripts to movies.
Okay, got it.
Because you and I are both movie critics. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I named it after her.
And, I'm on Twitter, except I don't really...
Tweet.
Well, I tweet about politics. I get into arguments about politics and stuff. I don't do, maybe I'll open a separate one for Bachelor. Is. I don't even remember because I don't go on that often anymore. What is my name? I don't
remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I don't think you let me
I'll let you know another time.
I think she unfriended me or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I think people know where to find me at the Jim Alexander. It's so official, like The Rock. It's the Jim Alexander on Twitter, and where I write and comment on Jenna looking at like Margot Robbie and might get a retweet or something. So you can hear my commentary about all that stuff, and Ari looking like a Smurf with a top hat. Just some of many comments I make. And you can, of course, check me out on thebacheloruniverse.com, which is where the blog happens, and this podcast, too. So you can read my stuff right when the episodes end, usually, and for any other stuff on the show. And, of course, this podcast, Bachelor Universe, on Twitter. On Stitcher and... iTunes and wherever you can get podcasts out there. So you can hear now Jeff and I and Paige and a lot of good fun stuff. So we are competing with all these other Bachelor podcasts. We're better than them.
I was going to say we're the best. Come on. Can't beat this. This was lots of fun.
It certainly was. So Paige, now, sorry, but you're obligated to come on every week now.
Oh, cool. I can do that.
Yeah. So, you are now part of this team because two men just not the mix.
This is going to be fun. I enjoyed this, and it was good meeting you, and I can see a picture of your head now.
It's
old headshot.
Well, you look good. Yeah.
It gives us something to look at when we Skype, Jim.
Right.
Yeah. I still look like I'm 21, even though I'm like 10 years older than that.
That's okay. I'm sure you're just...
I still sound 15, guys, so I still have that teenage voice going for me.
Yeah, you had me fooled. So, yeah.
All right, well, I'll talk to you guys later next week. We'll be back with more Bachelor nonsense talk.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Good night.